Hello students and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this session, we will be looking at the proposed reforms in merchant shipping. Okay. So what is the news all about? The government is basically getting ready to introduce two new bills which will be significant and of course much needed in the shipping industry in general and specifically the merchant shipping industry. So which are these two bills? These bills are number one, Merchant Shipping Bill 2024 and Coastal Shipping Bill 2024. Now, both the bills are actually promising the modernization and improvement, liberalization and basically increasing the ambit of the provisions that are already there. We'll see that in detail. First, let us understand what is merchant shipping. So merchant shipping, the main term here is merchant. Merchant means who? Merchant means traders. So these are the ships that are used for trading. Basically, these are the commercial ships. Now, what other ships are there? Defense ships are also there. So this bill that is coming is not for the defense ships, but it is for the merchant ships, that is the commercial ships which are used for trades, So let's make that absolutely clear. Now the question is, why is there a need for a new bill? Now if you look at the two new bills that are coming, they will be replacing the Merchant Shipping Act of 1958 and the Coastal Vessel Act of 1838. 1838, it is close to 200 years old. It is close to 200 years old, plus this is again how much? 65 plus years old. So these are quite old acts which are present, and since they are so old, they have sort of become outdated or what you call as obsolete. They have become obsolete and they are not keeping in pace with the modernization that is happening, and they are also very narrow is what we are going to see further. Now other things is, of course, they are obsolete, so there are gaps that are existing which is there. Plus, the maritime training issue is a very big security issue. We'll discuss that in detail as well. What is this training issue? After liberalization, India started allowing the private sector to give training, and that sector of training in the merchant shipping is completely unregulated and needs to be regulated. That provision will be present in the new bills that are proposed. Further, the seafarers' welfare provision is not present. Who are seafarers? The people who are working on board this ship. Now the provision for these people are present, but only when they are working in the Indian flagged ship. If these seafarers who are Indians but are working in a foreign flagged ship, there is no provision of any benefit for them. So that is also going to change, right? Plus, a lot of licensing, regulation, all these things are presently there. So we need to move away from regulation to facilitation, or regulation plus facilitation. Presently, the regime that runs is that of regulatory nature. So from regulation, we need to move towards regulation plus facilitation. Now, if we do that, then only our trade, etc., will also further enhance. Regulation, basically, if you have just regulatory tendencies, it is more of restrictive in nature. When you talk about regulation plus facilitation, this facilitation term includes liberal policies towards the trade. All right, I hope that is clear. Now, let us dive into the features of the Merchant Shipping Bill and the Coastal Bill, which is coming up. The first things first is ease of registration. Now what is this ease of registration? The present bill that is there, the present, not a bill, it's an act. When a bill is approved, it becomes an act. So the present act that is there, it basically does not cover regulation completely. How does it not cover? It allows or restricts the registration of the vessels to only those vessels that are with 100% Indian ownership. Means what? Any vessel with less than 100% Indian ownership does not come under its ambit, right? Now this is going to change with the proposed bill. With the proposed bill, what will happen? It will allow the less percentage of requirement for the vessel to be registered. It will allow even with foreign investment, if someone is registering their vessel, that will be allowed. Presently what it is, if your vessel is 100% Indian owned, you can register it or else not. This is now going to be liberalized. Plus, the definition of an Indian vessel will also change. Presently, the definition of an Indian vessel is a vessel which consists of 100% of Indian ownership. Now, that threshold will be reduced to 51%, which will give more flexibility and more chances of increase in the foreign investment also in this particular sector, of course, as a result of which the overall foreign investment can also increase. Plus, it allows various different entities to register a vessel. For example, limited liability partnership, non-resident Indians, overseas citizens of India, OCIs, NRIs, LLPs are also now going to be eligible to own and register the Indian vessel. Now, this is in line with the practices that is happening in other countries, for example, USA, for example, Canada, etc. These practices are already happening wherein, for example, in USA, the green card holders are allowed to own a vessel. In Canada and other countries, the PRI holders, permanent residency holders, the PR, sorry, not PRI, the PR holders, the permanent residency holders are also allowed to own vessel. That was not the case with India before. Now it will be the case. So meaning the NRIs will be allowed to hold, the LLPs will be allowed to hold, the overseas citizens of India will also be allowed to hold registration of the vessels. Plus, it further allows registration of vessels chartered by Indian entities. Now understand this concept. What do you mean by chartered? See, you can also take vessels as a charter. Charter means you don't own them, but for some period of time you can utilize them. That is the meaning of chartering a plane, chartering a ship instead of owning it, because owning it becomes too costly an affair. So you rather sort of understand this as a lease or a rent. So you have chartered a ship. When you chart a ship, you can utilize it for, and we are talking about commercial, we are not talking about luxury or let's say for pleasure, but for business. So you have chartered the ship, the vessel, right? Now it provides for the provision of later on registering that vessel in your name which you had been chartering. Now that makes it easier for small businesses, in fact, to own a ship in the near future, because you cannot directly own, it is costly. But if you have been chartering that since quite long and the value might have also reduced, now you would be given the preference to register that vessel in your own name, buy that vessel in your own name. All those provisions will be present, which will help the smaller business people also who do not have the wherewithal to own the ship. I hope that is absolutely clear. Now touching upon the ship recycling industry. Now what happens is, let's say the ship is registered in my name. I am the one who is the merchant who is owning the ship, who is utilizing the ship for commercial practices. Now what happens, the ship has an age, a life expectancy like humans have, even ships have. So at one point of time, the ship will not be usable or useful for me. So what do I do with the ship? The ship goes for recycling. Now as per the present provision, I cannot directly take it and get it recycled, and anyhow that is not my business is something else. So this recycling is done by a separate entity who let's say focuses or specializes in recycling. So the procedure presently which is there is what? If the another entity, so I am, let's say X, let's say a person X owns the ship. Now the life of the ship is ending, so the person X wants to recycle it. So now person Y has to take the ship and recycle. So Y has to take the ship from this person. Before taking the ship from this person, it has to be registered in Y's name. It has to be, the ship's registration needs to be transferred from X and now be given to Y. Now Y has to own that particular ship and then take it towards the ocean and to the shipping and the recycling yard, and under this Y's name it will then be recycled, which is a cumbersome, long drawn process. So the government in this bill is going to come up with a makeshift manner wherein you don't have to be requiring those documents, those criteria, those certification which you require to register a ship, because you are only taking it for recycling. You are not taking it for let's say commercial practices, trade, import, export. You are not going to use it for that. All you are doing is taking the ship from place X to place Y and recycling it. So there is no to and fro or multiple usages or usage for a long time that is going to happen. It is a ship which is about to be recycled. So if there is a ship which is about to be recycled, there need not be the same provisional requirement which is there for you to register the ship for commercial practices. So that change is also going to come through this particular bill. Plus, enlarging the scope of the vessel. Now, when you talk about the present situation, only some of the vessels, and that too huge vessels, are under the ambit. The small vessels, small boats, which are again used for commercial practices, are not under this ambit. Various other, specifically, let's say one, we are talking about the small vessels. In the same manner, submerged, semi-submerged, different kinds of vessels are not included under this. So they go outside the ambit. So proper oversight is not there on these vessels, which can be a safety threat as well. So this bill is going to expand the ambit of the definition and include the smaller merchandise vessels as well. It will also include the submersible, semi-submersible, non-displacement, etc., etc. All these vessels are now going to be a part of this particular bill and will come under the ambit of oversight. It will be better regulated. At the same time, the concern of safety and security will be addressed, right? This is in fact, I believe, the most important provision. Why the most important provision? Because the 26/11 attack that took place, it is, of course, we know about it, and it was a very sad day. And what had happened is the attack had happened where the perpetrators had come to India via the sea route in small boats. And those are not in the ambit of regulation so far. Now these smaller vessels will also come under the ambit of regulation and oversight. Clear? I hope that is absolutely clear. Then provision of seafarers. Presently, there are two types of seafarers. Seafarers working on an Indian flagged vessel, seafarers working on the foreign flagged vessels. Seafarers working on the foreign flagged vessels do not have any welfare and other beneficiary provisions so far, but this bill is going to give them also welfare provisions. So the seafarers who are working on the foreign flagged vessels are also going to get certain welfare benefits. Now, what benefits that will come when the rules of this act comes out? Once this bill is there, this bill will be passed. After it is passed, it becomes an act and various rules and guidelines will come out. So what exactly they will be, we will see that later on. But right now we know that there will be certain welfare benefits for the seafarers who are working in the foreign flagged ship vessels also. Plus, again, a very important thing, specifically with respect to, again, safety and security, the maritime training. So what happened is, after India went for liberalization, globalization, privatization, LPG, India allowed private entities also to provide maritime training. And presently, as we speak, there are total 160 plus private entities, total entities providing maritime training. And there is no proper regulation over there. Before that, what used to happen? Only the government entities used to give training. But after, so this is before LPG, only government is giving training. Now after LPG reforms, the private sector is also involved. So what happens? It becomes, you have to regulate them properly. Who are they? How are they? What is their funding source? What is the backing? Are they backed by some foreign entities, etc., etc.? So many things are there. If it's government, it is Indian, right? The backing is Indian. We know everything about it. But if it is foreign, then that is an issue. We need to be having proper regulation. So earlier only government entities were there. Now private entities are also involved. So in this particular bill, there will be a proper oversight and regulation that will be provided so that it does not become a safety and security issue. And that will eliminate what? Eliminate the illegal maritime training institutes. Those were illegal institutes. They were not properly registered. Now people are not aware, especially the small vessel holders who are not having those awareness, etc. Or maybe they are forging the documents. All these things were there, because of which illegal maritime training would be happening, and that during the training those vessels can be misutilized and of course again be a threat to the safety and security of the nation. So this particular thing cannot be compromised, and this particular bill addresses that as well. I hope each and every provision that is intended to be brought in is absolutely clear. When the bill comes in, the rules and guidelines comes in, we'll be discussing them further in detail, each and everything. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Stay tuned to Legacy IS Academy YouTube channel for more such informative bits. Thank you.